I just got back from El Salvador last night. I was going to do a follow-up video to my first one while I was still in country, but I decided not to do that. It's complicated. So, the United States. The Republicans want to use the Bukele model. El Salvador was one of the most violent and dangerous countries in the world, up until Bukele. And I asked the question, what does a democratic republic look like when a dictator takes control? That is El Salvador. People traded in their constitutional rights for safety. I'm going to give some more facts and you decide how you feel about it. Bukele's political party is called Nuevas Ideas, or in English, the New Ideas Party. He was overwhelmingly supported in his first term. Salvadorans were sick of the gang violence. Kids couldn't go outside and play. They were tired of being extorted. They were scared to go out at night. I mean, I can empathize, right? And by the way, these are the same people that MAGA here hate. There was a legitimate reason for families to try to flee El Salvador. Because if we had been in that situation, we sure as hell would try for our kids. Anyway, blood pressure back down. All right, so here are the facts. Kelly made deals with high-ranking gang members. Kill less people and we'll incentivize you. There was mass raids. And sometimes, even if you were just related to a gang member, you would be swept up in one of those raids. They have mass trials. Remember, this has only been since 2019. Anyway, they had trials with up to 900 defendants in one blanket judgment, straight to CCOT. That was their due process, which was no due process. Remember, I'm just laying out the facts. You can decide whether you agree or disagree. There's a huge discrepancy between the middle class and the working class. Often the middle class were not even exposed to gang violence. They could afford not to be. Keep in mind, the average wage in El Salvador right now is around 400 USD a month. I spoke to people in rural areas and I spoke to people in urban areas. And none of them seem to know where their taxes are going. There are over 6 million people there. The government cut regulations on things like gold mining, which causes horrible health problems. And never mind the environmental impact. Does that sound familiar? They have socialized healthcare. But in so many areas in El Salvador, the medical professionals have to buy supplies out of their own pocket. The police and the military are used to break up protests and send the agitators to prison. He replaced the Supreme Court with loyalists. He replaced key leadership positions and installed what somebody said was stupid young people. Nuevas Ideas has a huge following, cult of personality. There are people there that will defend him to the death, Bukele to the death. But his second term was a little different. Government slapped a tax just this month of 30% on nonprofits. He tries to avoid press conferences. He doesn't want to talk to journalists. And he has properties like this. Kelly is enriching himself off the presidency. It's stuff like that, and blocking social media accounts, silencing these protests, the massive raids with basically just no due process. So now, instead of being afraid of the gangsters, they're afraid of their own president. I heard many people say that power turned him. So look at what's happening in the US right now and tell me, do you think this is sustainable? Do you think that could happen here? I'll answer that one for you. It already is.